and welcome to the final wrap up of Yaoi Reddit's analysis on James Dashner's The Maze Runner series.
Oh.
Ooh, that was a little bit of a roller coaster. I'm one of your hosts, Meggie,
And I'm also one of your hosts. My name's Laura.
and this is exactly what we just said. It's a recap of The Maze Runner,
I loved
the
how you said
series.
analysis. It made us sound so educated and sexy and smart.
I don't know. I worked really hard on these interview questions for a Q&A I'm doing like later on, so I'm in the philosopher's stone
Are you
mode.
interviewing a philosopher?
No, I'm interviewing like actually it's kind of cool. I guess I'll plug them. This archive called the Otherness Archive, and it is one of the
Ooh.
first film archives that spotlights short films and full-length films that are made by trans mask or like butch people more
Oh,
on the gender
that
spectrum.
sounds so cool, Meg. I can't wait to hear all about it.
Very exciting. It went on the internet like January 31st, so it's pretty new, but
Pretty new, pretty fresh.
I was trying to sound very smart to them today, so I am in
Hey.
a smart person mode, the people would say.
I mean, good thing you're in a smart person mode because we're about to be the two smartest people on this podcast talking about the Maze Runner.
Oh, thank God, because I really thought the third person was gonna be the
Yeah,
smartest
honestly, I'm
person.
so glad the third person didn't show up today. They suck.
Yeah, seriously. Yes, that is what we are doing. We are talking about James Dashner's The Maze Runner series and its subsequent books, Scorch Trials, Death Cure, Kill Order, and Fever Code.
But not the Maze Cutter. We refuse to read the third prequel, the sixth book.
Nah, we kind of wanted to tap out of the universe for a bit and
Honestly, I
enjoy our
did like
surroundings.
I thought, okay, and this is on me. I thought the Maze Cutter was like a graphic novel, and I was like, well, we don't need to read a graphic novel. So like that's also on me for just being ignorant and just going with my assumption.
Yeah, it is kind of, I mean, it's nice too, the amount of people who asked us if we were reading The Maze Cutter, because it means people are
Yeah,
listening to
it was
us.
at least two or three.
It was at least two or three. And yes, we are on texting terms and these are friends of ours, but it's
And
still fans of the
hey,
podcast.
hey, fans can be friends. Think about that.
That's true. And some of these fans who texted us, their dads also listen to this. So shout out
That's
to all the Yeah We Reddit daddies.
We'd love to give it up for Alan, our friend's dad that listens to this podcast. Uh, I don't even know where to begin like with this book series, if that's how you pronounce it.
Mhm.
Because it's like I feel like a lot happened. I liked a lot of it. The prequels I'm iffy about.
Yeah.
But we were talking off the mic about Teresa's character and if she was supposed to be bad. And you were more convinced like, oh, and Teresa's supposed to be bad. I'm less convinced that she was supposed to be bad.
I think I was led astray often in this series. When
Yeah.
she said Wicked is good the first time we initially meet her, and that is what is written on her arms, I was like sus about this girl. And then later on, I was like, okay, so she has a bit of a convoluted reasoning for believing Wicked is good, and maybe
Mhm.
we'll get to learn it.
Yeah.
And I didn't ever really get any idea of her thinking Wicked was good besides the fact
Yeah.
that they saved them in parentheses from a completely disease ravaged world.
Yeah.
And it seemed like a lot of her gratitudes, and especially in the Fever Code, the fifth one, were just because like they were saved, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I feel like we never really got what we needed from Teresa's character, and it's interesting that we're starting this conversation talking about Teresa's character, even though the book's mainly about Thomas. But I will say I just coughed into my mic, that was so gross. I will say, um, Teresa's it's interesting because, like, we got so much of her. She's the only person that is in all 5 books, and I feel like we know her the least.
Mm,
Which is weird to me, but I think the biggest thing that's standing out in my brain is in the first 3 books, like, it is really, really, like, hit home that Thomas and Teresa have this, like, sort of romantic relationship, that they're
mhm.
both kind of finding again, even though, you know, they lost their memories. But in, like, the 5th book, which is, like, the really the story of Teresa and Thomas becoming friends and building the maze, they're not like romantic at all. So it's like, where did that come from? Because it kind of was hinted at the books, like they kind of had this like long kind of loving relationship, and they kind of didn't really they didn't really seem to like each other in the fifth book. It was just kind of like, well, you two are friends because we're making you friends.
Yeah, it seems like they were just friends because of circumstance. They were the 2 smartest people, they
Yeah.
were isolated from the entire community, and we didn't even get, like, maybe they were gonna hold hands, maybe, they hug or share a moment where they kiss. I mean, they're 14, so maybe they shouldn't.
Yeah.
But it was never established, and similarly, I don't think the triangle on either side of the little 3 tips of a triangle, I don't think any of it worked with the love triangle that James Dashner was trying to set, because with Brenda too, Brenda has ulterior motives, and we never figure out what it is. And I thought
Yeah.
we were going to. I thought that these prequels were going to be sequels because she was so damn sus in the
Brenda is so
Death Cure.
fucking sus. I completely agree. And like, I still remember when you pointed out, like, we never really know how old Brenda is. Cause I'm like, you're right. They never tell us, like, oh yeah, she's about our age. Like, when I first met her, I thought she was like maybe like 25,
Mhm.
uh, at the youngest. And then they were like kind of having a romantic thing. And I was like, is she younger? But it's never confirmed. And yeah, and I think Brenda was really an unnecessary character. I really wish he would have just rode with like kind of like this Teresa and Thomas still finding each other in the face of danger. I don't know why he went down this route of like, but Teresa's maybe good, maybe bad, but is she still hot? Here's Brenda. And like, what kind of name is Brenda?
I know. It's insane the grip that having 2 love interests had on especially 2010s young adult media, and I wonder if that
Yeah.
was kind of a deciding point for him being like, "I gotta throw another love interest in there. I just have to."
We gotta intro Brenda, who is somehow less thought out or
Yeah.
even more thought out than Teresa.
Because they also, I feel like, the 2 titular young adult novels that we'll always return to in terms of love triangles, which was The Hunger Games and Twilight, at least those people represented 2 different partners you could take. Twilight were 2 different toxic guys, the same different sides of the same coin. Hunger Games, listen, ride or die PETA, ride or die PETA. Still don't really get what Gail offered besides being comfortable, but also wanting to return to a comfortable like place when you got to be thrown into saving for your life. I also kind of wouldn't want to think about PETA. I'd want Gail as like a escape. Brenda or Teresa really didn't serve any different kind of
They're so
relationship.
it's weird that they both gave so little. I would argue Teresa gave a little bit more, but it's like Brenda was so just like there. And I think that's the thing that makes me like most like irritated that she had to be like included, where it's just like, so she just can like fly a blimp. That's her thing.
Yeah. I think too that like the reason we started with Teresa actually makes a lot of sense because the prequels, I would say, focused
True.
more on her than Thomas at
Well, yeah,
times.
because I mean, death
We had a whole
cured.
one of her origin.
Yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say that. It's not death. It is death. No,
Fever
it's
Code?
kill order.
Oh.
I always get books 3 through 5. James Dashner, what are you doing? The titles are so confusing. But
Yeah.
yeah, we got like an entire Teresa origin story again, but it felt weird. That book felt so out of place to me still. Like I feel like I'm trying to erase it from my brain, and I feel like I kind of have. The things that stick out to me from that book are like the bits that we were rolling with when the guy and the girl were invading the building, and like that was so funny to me.
In Kill Order?
Yeah, when we were talking about it
Oh,
with Nate.
when they were like sailing on the boat?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a great time.
Yeah, we had
I
fun.
I liked Kill Order as a book surprisingly, but it just doesn't fit in the
Oh,
series.
yeah, and I think that's what made me kind of steer away from it, because it was just not what I needed with what was going on. Like there were so many questions,
Yeah.
and I didn't get any answers.
You were saying before we started recording that you wanted to bring something up on the podcast.
That was what I wanted to bring up. I wanted to bring up the fact that the Teresa relationship is so romantic in the 3 books, and it's kind of hinted that they've had this long term romance, and then we don't really get an origin for that at all. And that's what I wanted to talk about, and we nailed it.
I'm curious how they adapted it to the movies, and then also, were you ever expecting Gally to play a bigger part in the books?
I remember because I read the first 3 books when I was younger, and I
Mhm.
remember Gally coming back. So that's why, like, when Gally originally died in the first book, I was like, "I think he's not actually dead." And so when he comes back in book 3, I was like, "Okay, hell yeah." And I was right. But I definitely remember the movies making him more of a character, vaguely. But yeah, he's a weird antagonist to kind of have because I guess like when I really think about it, I don't really understand the purpose of Galley either.
I was kind of expecting him to play more of a role with
Yeah.
Wicked when he left, and it
Yeah.
could have been something to flesh out, but I think I was fine either way with where his character went. I just with how much time they gave him in the first book, I thought there was gonna be a bit more, which
Yeah.
now I'm wondering, what are your feelings on our first male protagonist,
I
Thomas?
was just gonna say that, Meg. Aw.
Wow.
We did it. We did it after years of this podcast. We finally had our first male protagonist.
I
Um,
know!
I'm so proud of us. I Thomas is Thomas. I wish he didn't have such like a savior complex,
Mm,
and I wish he had like more flaws cuz I feel like James Dashner wrote him as just kind of like a yeah, he lost his memories, but he's going to do his best. And I was like, and that's great. Like it's great to have somebody who's going to always try to help people even in
mhm.
the face of just extreme dangers. But Thomas doesn't have like anything wrong with him. He's the
You know,
smartest kid. He's also
God,
really hot. He gets the girl. He gets 2 girls when nobody else gets any.
that is so funny you bring that up because as someone who is a voracious reader, as I would say, I always feel like male authors, when they are writing fiction, they suffer from this disease, which is being a man. No, which is just like they want to put themselves into a character and only exhibit the best of what they don't have or like what they
Yeah.
want to be, and then it completely leaves all room for no humanity to exist because I mean we are our flaws and our mistakes,
Yeah.
and you can only you can only be so two-dimensional if it's just you're always boasting about the things you're doing well.
Yeah.
And I mean, like,
Yeah.
Katniss was a hardhead, and, Tally was so far back that I don't like, she had her problems with Shay and also seemed really angry and, like, thrown into this role that, like, she didn't wanna have. And
Mhm.
Thomas, in a way, is also thrown into this role. He goes up in the box, and he's just in there. But all of a sudden, he just knows how to do, everything.
Yeah.
There's no
Like, it's
stumbling.
just he's just good at everything, and it's like, can you be bad at something? And I think that's why I like Mino so much as a character, and I kind of wish we saw even more of him because Mino is somebody who not only has flaws, but he takes action and he deals with his consequences of when things don't go his way.
Mhm,
And I love it. Like the entire story of like the dead griever and then the griever he takes to the leader to see and then the leader gets stabbed and he has to kind of deal with that guilt and then, like, when he tries to fight Jorge in book 2, and he's, like, now being threatened to have his fingers cut off, like, all of that was way more interesting than, like, anything Thomas, like, just did.
I know, and even Newt being kind of the sacrificial lamb and
Yeah.
just in Death Cure having to not only succumb to,
Yeah.
the flare, but then also just, like, having to live in isolation and just that pure rage and, like,
Yeah, like
sadness when they go and visit him in the Crane Palace, like,
yeah.
it's just the humanity is, like, being angry about your situation and then also being, like, a tinge of sadness in how you act on that.
Yeah. Yeah, Newt's an interesting character because I remember the first time I read this book being pissed that they killed Newt off because it felt just kind of like for show. And then when I read it again, it kind of just felt like can you believe we're doing this? And it's like, yeah, I can because this book just keeps trying to out like one up itself. And I just like I get why because it's like it's a disease, but I feel
Yeah.
like there could have been a better way, you know?
I know. Like, maybe leave it well, I think I would have wanted some closure. I think if they just never had him die, there's no emotion to his death. It was just him yelling, "Kill me," over and over again, and then Thomas eventually doing it. Why don't we
Yeah.
get, like, tears streaming down his face, you know? Why do we just get, like, such primal rage? I want him to be,
Yeah.
like, fighting within himself against this sort of a thing, like, wanting
Yeah.
to live and just knowing there's no way it can happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, yeah, we needed more. It felt like we focused so much on action the later the series went and
Mhm.
less on like the feeling of everything, which is an interesting choice. But like I say, James Dashner did suffer from I've got a movie deal, so I can write whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah. I do have to say visually, he did a really good job. Like, I don't think I've had this much fun visually with a world. Hunger Games doesn't count because Hunger Games is just on a completely different level.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I would compare this to The Uglies in terms of visually. It seemed very like I got very foresty vibes from it. Don't know where that came
Yeah.
because they're literally in the desert. But I feel like The Maze always gave me like a forest aesthetic,
That's really
and
funny.
I could really visualize the world very, very well.
I agree.
It's
World building
description is so good.
was great. I feel like where James Dashner did fall flat was describing all of these action scenes because it started to get just like really confusing of like who's fighting who, where did they find this weapon, what's going on, someone slid over a table, et cetera, et cetera. But
Yeah.
other scenes were written very, very well, and I will give him that. But yeah, it's like that we keep talking about we want to watch the movies, and it's like I do because I really want to see what they like left out because I'm sure it had to be so much.
Yeah, well, I know when we had Nate on, he was saying that Chancellor Paige and also Teresa, they flesh out a lot because,
Yeah.
again, the women do not have speaking parts really at all
Well,
in the
it's a boys
books.
only book, Maggie.
It, it really is a boys only, no girls
I mean,
allowed
literally,
book.
I think the back of the first book is like Thomas wakes up on an island of boys.
That sounds like my worst nightmare. That's like watching that's the same kinda Stockholm syndrome I get watching The Bachelorette. I'm
That's
like,
so
"God,
funny.
someone save this poor girl," and then you, like, figure out she's there because she wants to be, and I'm like, "No, no, no, no. She is delusional."
Someone help her. That's so funny. I would love if the Maze Runner first book was also like a Bachelor parody and there was like these people like and imagine Teresa just being like, I just feel like he's just more interested in solving the maze than getting to know me.
Oh my god. Like, if the boys in the maze could somehow film a mockumentary, like, their AV club
Yeah.
gets together and they're like, "Okay, what if we did, like, just something's telling me, like," and it's just the idea of The Bachelor, but they just, like, do
Yeah.
a mockumentary. I would love that
I would love
from the
that.
Blade
I would
Boys.
watch that. I would have so much fun with that. That's amazing.
James Asher should not have written Maze Cutter. He should have consulted Meggie and Laura because we
He
have
could have he could
ideas.
have he should have written The Maze Bachelorette.
He's got the whole setup, which is one person of the opposite sex and then 4 billion of the other sex. And
Oh
then,
my god.
they go hog
That's
wild.
That's so funny. I've been toying with writing a fan fiction for one of our seasons again because I haven't done it in so long, and maybe that's the fan fiction I'll write. It'll just be so chaotically not a part of this universe or anything that could be tangible within it.
I
But
really
maybe.
think that that's the move because we were talking about MTV's Next last time.
Oh my god, what a great show!
Great show. Oh,
Ah,
wonderful show.
what a
Oh,
wonderful
but
show!
back to the Maze Runner. Overall, where does this series for you stack up in books that we have read?
Oh my god, it's getting harder to stack everything because we've read like a lot of series
We
now.
do like dystopian and then maybe try to remember the ones that we read. So we did for dystopian, we
Oh,
did The Uglies, we did Hunger Games.
And then this is it. This is the 3
This is
dystopian ones we
it.
did.
These are the 3
So that's why I was
dystopians.
like, Meggie, when you're just racking this up against dystopian books, that's really hard because all of our dystopian seasons have slapped in one way or another.
They've all been very good, and I would love to ask the authors if they know going in that they are going to make it political, and if every single
Yeah,
element is, like, stacked against something that could be a comment on whatever is happening in real life.
right?
Or if they just start writing, like, a fantasy sci-fi world, and coincidentally, it is always going to happenstance that it's going to mirror real life.
Yeah. Well, yeah, well, like, not to stray too far away from your actual question, but it is weird reading this book about, like, this disease that's ravaged the world in the age of COVID because it's like that didn't exist at all when this book was written.
Yeah, and I mean, even, like, prior to COVID, there it could be commentary on so many different things, like the lack of resources surrounding mental
Yeah.
health, and especially, like, the class warfare that kinda stems from that.
Mhm.
Um, Not in terms of, like, a zombie novel, but I think that every zombie novel says that a little bit, especially, like, The Last of Us, which I'm watching on HBO Max.
Oh,
Watching
I need
that
to watch
next to this
that.
was it was way too much, honestly. I was like,
That's so funny.
"We don't gotta think about the world's end."
Too much. Okay, but back to ranking this.
Yes.
That's
Rank
it's
it.
really, really hard because Uglies has such a special place in my heart, and
Mhm.
also so does Hunger Games.
Yeah.
But all of the books are well written, and I think I still have to put Hunger Games at the top.
I know, it is
Because book
untouchable.
2 of Hunger Games is amazing.
Oh my god, the baby drop, and then also it's a TikTok.
TikTok
How are
on the clock.
you gonna beat that?
DJ, blow that
Blow
speaker up.
speaker up
When
tonight.
you really think about it,
I'ma fight.
all of the lands in the clock in book 2 of Hunger Games are just like Kesha's song TikTok.
It is so funny how we, like, always come back to Hunger Games. I'm sorry, but I just it's I don't know how any I don't know. I don't know
And
how
yeah,
you can
maybe
write
we
the best
cursed
thing ever.
ourselves by reading it so soon. But it's like Hunger Games always has something like more to talk about is the thing because all of those characters were so fleshed out so well, except for
Yeah.
Prim. Prim was the least fleshed out character in that series, but she also was hardly in the series, so that makes sense. But when you compared it to and it's like when I really think about it, I think I would have to put Mazer in last just because Thomas is not really a fleshed out protagonist. And that's me being really nitpicky.
Yeah, I guess, with the sands of time, I feel like the
The
Maze Runner might be
sands of
one
time.
that falls to it, and I feel like the Uglies really stuck out to me in terms of Shay. Shay to me was so
Shay's a fascinating character.
relatable
Uh,
because, like, the rejection you feel, especially as, like, a young woman coming into
yeah.
her feels, you do so much unhinged stuff because all of your emotions are 100, and when you're
Yeah.
angry, you're pissed. So I always really liked Shay in those books, and I felt really fucking bad that she had to succumb to, um, the specials order in the end because it just felt
Yeah.
like that was, like, the progression and not one that she wanted because she was so
Yeah.
liberated and free in the beginning.
Yeah. No, I really think Shay is truly one of like the best like friend characters we've gotten.
Yeah,
Because she's so fleshed out, and it's like even though she's not in the books a ton, it's just like anytime she's there, it's with such meaning and purpose, and it
yeah.
means yeah, it's just so good. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah, it's like when I think more about Thomas, I'm like, he really like he did a lot, but it's like he always knew exactly what to do. And then when you think about Mark in the prequel, he was just like Thomas 2.0.
I know, and, like, I mean, that's the thing too about this being, like, a male protagonist, and with the Uglies and Shay and Tally, there's so much depth to female friendships, and there's so much
Yeah.
jealousy and insecurity, and it's because society pits us against each other, that when I read books about guys, I don't have that point of view or perspective, and I really wanna know what it feels like, and
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because we've been conditioned to be like, oh, guys being close are like gay and had that mindset in the early 2000s, 2010s.
Mhm.
But like I really want the depth and emotional intelligence and like connection between guys cuz I do want to know what it's like. There's so many things that like
Yeah.
hold you back that like sometimes I think you can pour emotion into these dystopian books because there's so much emotion. Your whole world has just ended. And I got no emotion in the Maze Runner and I really
Yeah.
wanted it.
Yeah, I would say we got a little bit in the first book with, like, Thomas's relationship with Chuck,
Oh yeah, that was sweet.
but it was, like, interesting to be like, we have all of these guys that are, like, obviously they're all working towards the same thing, but, like, we don't really see anybody, like, break down or ask questions or, like, team up really. It just felt like kind of like a, "Yep, we're all here to solve the maze." It's just it was I agree with you. It's really interesting that we didn't really get to see, like, anybody having those really bad days of, like, loneliness and longing.
And I just felt like there were so many moments for them to vocalize point blank, I'm scared.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of their tears were just, I hate them. I hate Wicked
Yeah. Yeah,
and
Thomas was
that's
scared for,
true.
like, a day, and then he was like, "I think I've been here before. I know exactly how to solve this." And it's like, "Well, okay."
Hey, the boys are back in town. Are the boys back in town if they never truly left? That's Thomas.
Wow.
I
I
say
know,
it
it's
again.
almost like I really liked the second book of the series too, but it's like I also wonder what would have happened if, like, they stayed in the maze for the entire series. So, like, all 3 books were in the maze, and, like, maybe book 2 is when they, like, bring girls in, and then maybe book 3 is when they finally get to solve it or something of, like, what that kind of, world would have played out to be. Because I feel like that could have been an interesting thing to do too, but
Yeah,
what do I know? I'm just a reader.
I know. It was fun. I do kind of hope that we do a bit more male protagonist ones because it's just so different than like what I'm used to.
Yeah, I agree.
I was really excited. I never read The Maze Runner, so I was really excited for this one.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
it's
even know if
fun,
I
like
finished the first book when I was little.
man, that's on
Uh,
you.
I mean, all I remember was Teresa coming up in the elevator, and I didn't remember Chuck died or anything.
Yeah, like, I only remembered Chuck died when it happened. I was like, "Oh, shoot, I remember this."
Yeah, I
But
know my
leading up
best
to it, I
friend
was
was
just
like
like,
really
"La,
into it.
la, 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 I'm reading a book." But yeah, yeah. We should find more male protagonist books.
I'm sure we will. Hey,
Well,
young
I'm sure
adult
we
is
will,
so
bud.
long.
I'm sure we will.
I'm sure we will.
Okay, we do have to do our canceled character of the series and our
Oh
justice for
God,
character of the series. We don't wanna forget to do those.
our canceled character of the series. I don't even know. I mean, I feel like it's so hard because they're like I want to say one of the guys, but I kind of feel like listen, I did not know where we were going with the Brenda thing. I did not
I
know.
was honestly thinking Brenda too, and I was like, "This is weird." Because I was like, "Okay, I could say, like, Ratman, I could say Galley, I could say Wicked as a whole, but something about not knowing Brenda's motives at all and also how old she is, it's creepy and predatory to me."
Yeah, I mean, like Wicked's always the easier answer, and we cannot give the people the easier answer.
No.
I think Brenda eluded me, and I did not know why she was in the book. I did not understand it. I thought the gap was a little bit strange. At first, I was ride or die Brenda. She
Wow. I
was
know, I
just.
remember that. That was a I'm gonna forgive you for your sins on being ride or die Brenda,
I like to be
but
contrarian. What can I say?
honestly, the nail in the coffin for me with Brenda is, book 5 really destroys any kind of, pro I could find because we find out that Brenda, obviously had met Thomas before going to the Scorch, and then she never mentions it to him once when she meets him, and
Yeah.
that's, like, really sadistic in a way to me, to be
Hmm.
like, like, she wasn't even like she was like, "No, don't get your memories back. It's totally fine. I know a guy." Like, very, very just weird. A lot of her thought processes now knowing what we know now because of the prequel doesn't make sense.
No, they really don't. I guess then consequentially, what is the justice for? Oh man, I don't know, because I was leaning towards saying Teresa, but I feel like in the prequels, the prequels confused me so much on Teresa. I think
Yeah.
Teresa in the books, I think her death really sucked, and I would say justice
Yeah,
for
I
that.
forgot she died, oh my god.
Well, it was so
It's
fast.
so
It was the same as
fast.
Newt.
And also the fact that, yeah, Thomas didn't have any reaction to Teresa dying was weird. Maybe he does deserve Brenda. Honestly, a part of me wants to say justice for Newt, because I feel like he wasn't
Yeah.
really given, like, the storyline he deserved.
And Tumblr would agree with you because that was how I got his death spoiled, was trying to
Oh,
promote our podcast
I forgot that
and
happened to you, Meg. I'm so
scrolling
sorry.
through, and I said, "Laura, how far are you?" And you said, "I finished." And I said, "You'll never guess what I just got
Yeah,
written
and
for
then
me."
Maggie's yeah, I remember you telling me that you're never gonna guess what I just spoiled, and I go, I know exactly what you just spoiled for yourself because I can tell by your reaction.
Hey, Tumblr would agree with you. They were also really upset about
I
Newt's
mean,
death.
it's like he knew was a really like good character. He was very sage, and I liked him. But also, her part of me could say justice for Chuck and his little pig laugh.
Oh, his little pig laugh. Chuck was really sweet, and this may upset some of you guys, but I did think Chuck was useless. I think Chuck was gonna die at some point.
Yeah, Chuck was like a pointless comedic relief character. And I love when comedic relief characters exist and have purpose, but he did not.
Like, is it better he
Um,
went by a griever than get zapped by lightning in the Scorch trials? That would not have been good. Like,
Chuck
I think
blown to smithereens.
if
Thomas wouldn't have cared either way.
if you had to see me go via death by one of the chosen deaths, so you either get like the bulb monster at the end of the Scorch trials, you get a crank, eats me, I guess. Lightning, a griever. Oh, the ball, the death ball on my head. Um, oh, the transvice where it just you I get vaporized. Oh, that's not
Okay,
fair. I feel like that one would be the easiest to see.
yeah,
What would
that
seeing a loving friend go? Which one would be the worst, and
on
which one would be like okay?
I feel like the most okay one would be lightning because I feel like it'd be over quick.
You're gonna see me cooked alive?
Well, yeah, but you're gonna be blown to smithereens immediately.
You're thinking that's less traumatizing than me just being transviced? Just
Well, we weren't counting
evaporated?
Transvice because that's in the prequels.
Okay, we won't count that one.
I'm not counting Transvice. But out of everything in like the first books, because Griever, you're gonna like slowly go insane, or it's going to be a slow kill. Cranks are a slow kill. You're gonna be
Yeah.
slowly eaten. And then the little cyborg bold guys at the end of book two. I feel like that would have been painful too. And the ball thing, how scary would that have been? It just eats your face and then swallows you whole. I
Yeah,
think I would want to go by lightning too.
I
What
guess
would you
lightning
wanna see me go as if you're not pro lightning?
I think lightning does feel the most natural.
Okay, is that the one you'd say you want me watch me die as?
I think I would watch you. Yeah, I think that lightning would be pretty a-okay. Like if you could get shot by Wicked, that would be like I'd be like, "Oh, okay, that's, she was there's nothing she could
Yeah.
do about that." there's, there's
Okay, yeah, most ideal is watching me get shot by Wicked. Okay, okay, okay.
yeah, yeah, as you do.
My best case for you is getting just pushed out of a Berg window that's been crashed open with a hammer.
Oh, the classic bird window death.
Yeah,
The one
oh
too great.
man, and we had two too many apparently. That's
What do you
so
think your
funny.
role would have been in the Glade?
Oh, that's a great question. Honestly, I think I probably would have been a runner.
Oh, well, I guess we are young, so I'm thinking of the
Yeah,
physical
and I was a really a
youth.
good runner, and I feel like I would have, do that. I love a puzzle.
I think I would have tried to cook.
Yeah. Maybe I would have done that, or maybe I would have done, like, the planting, the gardening.
I guess I was like, I wouldn't mind working with animals, but would you also have to work in the slaughterhouse too?
Yeah, I think it's a twofer. Unless, like, you
I don't
only
like
get to
that.
feed and hang out with them, then I would take that job 100%.
Yeah, that's true. In the end, maybe it's good that they were in the Glade and they were in Wicked because they completely missed low rise jeans.
Well,
Oh, I guess they're
did they
boys.
come did
Damn.
they come back, though? Because Mikey, this book takes place in the future.
Oh, you're right. I was thinking of when
There's
it was written.
there's nothing against or for low-rise jeans in the books. Everybody could have been walking around. with the lowest cut jeans, and we'll never know because Dashner never confirmed nor denied.
I guess the low-rise jeans for boys was puka shell necklaces.
Wow. Everybody in the maze, like, the maze of, Mino handing out, like, "Here's your book pack, here's your watch, here's your puka shell necklace."
Oh, yeah.
That's so funny.
That's the analysis. That's the analysis of the Maze Runner series, is that a
Yeah, more
puka
puka
is
shells.
to be a puka is to be a low rise of girls.
Wow, damn, we said it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm really trying to think of closing thoughts on this series. I mean, I liked it for what
Wait,
it
we didn't
did.
confirm our Justice 4 character, we got sidetracked.
Okay. Oh god. You said Chuck? Were you gonna go with Chuck?
I think I'm gonna go with Newt. I think I'm gonna do the fan favorite, get us some 5-star reviews, and say Newt. You're welcome, fans.
Hey, we need more on Spotify, if you know what I mean. I also think that I will concede to Newt. I would have said Teresa if it wasn't for the prequels. I think the
Yeah,
prequels made
I
Teresa
honestly I
so
hate the
unlikable.
prequels for making us question her character, and I dislike it.
Yeah, like James Dashner, you don't give girls any speaking roles, and then like the one where we're like, oh, okay, that's kind of sad. You go in the prequels, and it's like, was she evil the whole time?
Yeah, and it's like, or was she brainwashed and we never get the answer? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, because it ends on like an email from her and Aris and Ava Page or whatever, being like,
Yeah.
we have done what we needed to do. It is okay that we
Yeah, and
screwed
also,
over people.
like, Ava Page was good at the end of book 3 and then she was evil the whole time. Like, that shit didn't make any sense, James Dashner. What the hell are you doing?
I know. I have no idea. It is kind of interesting. I wonder if now I'm just new, completely new thought. When everyone thought that the world was going to end in 2012, if that's why there was so many dystopian novels coming out in like
Honestly,
2008,
maybe. I
because
wouldn't
there
put
were
it past
so
anybody.
many.
That's so true. But also, we love a dystopian world.
That is true. Yeah. So I guess what were your feelings overall then?
I would say like a thumbs up. Like I had fun reading these books. I had less fun with the prequels, but like they weren't horrible. The books 1 and 2 they went hard. I feel like I was having a ball. I read both of those books so fast. And then book 3 I was like, "Eh." But yeah,
Yeah,
I had a lot of fun this season.
it made a lot of sense why they made them into movies because I could see it having a
Yeah.
lot of commercial success. Like I feel
Yeah.
like this was the indie commercial success, the underbelly of the Hunger Games. And
So
it was
true.
good. It was pretty good. I liked it.
Yay.
I
Should
would give it
we
a solid 7, no, 6.5 out of 10. Well, no. I will try to take my prequels out of my head. I think I'll give it a 7. I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
I think 7's a really fair rating for like just the main trilogy.
Yeah.
And I honestly think if Death Cure was better, I would have given it like an 8.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Meg, we did it. Should we talk about our next season?
Should we?
Should we?
Yeah.
We always do.
So what are we doing for our next season, Laura? I'm gonna
What
default to
are
you.
what are we doing for our next season, Meg? What if we just kept asking each other back and forth?
Hey, I'm here for it. I'm sure the viewers aren't. I'm sure the viewers aren't. They are not here for this or us
Well, no,
querying the
because you
characters.
picked this series, so you should be the one to announce it.
Okay, Laura and I have just made the executive decision, and I was not sure if Laura wanted to,
I
but
wasn't sure if what we I thought we agreed.
okay, this is perfect. We for the next season, we will be doing the Netflix hit show. We are going to go in a new direction with You by Caroline. Her last name starts with a K.
By
Caroline
Caroline, one name only. Yes. So
Kepnes?
Kepnis? I don't know.
Katniss?
But we're gonna experiment a little bit and then do some YA after dark and talk about you. It's
Yes.
gonna be a good 3-book season and we're gonna have some fun with it. So that's what will be coming.
Yeah, we kind of figured this was Meg's choice because it seemed like the constellations were lining up perfectly because part 1 of season 4 of You comes out on my birthday,
Yeah,
and
I need
the new book
to.
comes out in April. So we were like, it seems like something is telling us we got to try out
Yeah,
You.
so we're gonna do the first 3 books because we're obviously gonna be done before that 4th book. Maybe we'll come back and do the 4th book. But we're gonna see how this goes.
We're gonna
That's
see.
how we should approach every season. We'll see how this goes.
And then readers, we got the rest of the year stacked. We got a lot of hot shit
Oh,
coming
we've
out.
got some hot shit coming this season. This is the season of Yeah, we read it.
Reread it. And if you want to keep up with this season of Yeah We Read It and future seasons of Yeah We Read It, it is Yeah We Read It. It's Hot Girl Summer. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Yeah We Read It and TikTok. On Instagram, we are Meggie underscore and underscore Laura.
And maybe if you're feeling extra crazy, like your fingers can't stop tapping, tap those fingers on your computer keys and send us a nice email at Meggie and Laura present at gmail.com.
Yeah, we are here and we just want love and
And when you're
support.
here, your family.
When you hear your family, we want more queer characters. What can we say? Sorry, it's our
Yeah,
downfall.
sorry for that one negative review we got on Apple Pods that we want more queer representation in media. How horrible for us.
It was, hey, I get it, but it was like pseudo nice, but it was like maybe don't talk
She
about
gave
it. But
us 2 stars. It was kind of mean.
as a queer person, I just really really want it, and we might be also be doing some queer stuff later on. So very excited. It'll be
Queer
a great time.
stuff. That's a great way to end the season.
Love it. Say love
Love
you.
it. All right, c'est la vie. Seize the day.
Carpe diem.